Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Quijano inside the hub at the CBS News Broadcast Center. President Trump will address Congress tonight, delivering a State of the Union 1 week later than expected. The White House says Mr. Trump will call for unity as he speaks to a divided Congress for the first time. His speech was delayed by a 35-day government shutdown. The next government funding deadline is next Friday. A conference committee is still working with the hopes of reaching a deal on Homeland Security funding by the end of the week. But last week, the president said Republicans on the committee were wasting their time because he doesn't think they can come to a deal on border wall funding he can support. He had no public events today, and we don't expect to see President Trump until he leaves for the Capitol around 8:30 Eastern. We have reports from both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue. Molly Hooper is on Capitol Hill, but we begin with CBS News Washington correspondent Paula Reid at the White House. All right, Paula, what are we expecting to hear in the president's address tonight?
Elaine, as you noted, we expect the president will give a nod to tradition, that he will call for bipartisanship, cooperation, and unity. But the president is, of course, an imperfect messenger for that particular call, especially when you look at his actions over the past couple weeks and months. He's been involved in a bitter partisan dispute with congressional Democrats over his desire for a border wall. In fact, in an interview with CBS News just a few days ago, he said he'd be open to possibly shutting down the government again if he doesn't get exactly what he wants, $5.7 billion for that wall. He'd even be willing to circumvent Congress, go around them, and declare a national emergency to get Pentagon funding for his wall. It will be interesting to watch how the president uses his words, uses this time to address the issue of immigration, whether or not he tries to carve out areas where they may be able to come to some sort of bipartisan agreement on border security, or if he goes for the more divisive rhetoric. We do expect, though, the president will mention areas where he could reasonably expect there to be bipartisan consensus, especially on the issue of infrastructure. We expect the president will call on Congress to put forth an infrastructure package. He will also call on Congress to support his administration's efforts to lower prescription drug prices. And with any president, Elaine, we will expect him also to tout some of his own accomplishments. And arguably, one of his biggest accomplishments has been in the courts. But it will be very interesting to see how he addresses the confirmation of Justice Kavanaugh, because, of course, that was also a bitter partisan fight. So it'll be interesting how he sort of balances bragging about that, which is a legitimate accomplishment, putting a conservative justice on the court, but also being sensitive about the scandal that surrounded that.
Well, Paula, you've also been reporting on a new subpoena delivered to President Trump's inaugural committee. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. This subpoena, it's pretty sweeping, very broad. Prosecutors are looking for any documents, any information related to the donors who contributed over $100 million to the president's inaugural fund. As you may remember, many people were a bit surprised that candidate Trump won the election. And by people, I mean longtime Republican donors. There was a rush to cut checks, and investigators are now looking at exactly how all that money was raised and how it was spent. They're especially interested in foreign donations and whether or not any foreign entities sought to try to get any leverage over the new administration through contributions. It is illegal for foreign entities to donate to inaugural funds. So that is specifically in the subpoena. And again, Elaine, it's just another legal headache for the president. Today, the White House tried to distance itself. Sarah Huckabee Sanders said this has nothing to do with the president. And Elaine, that is true. The president is not named specifically in this subpoena. We have to look. Now the president's campaign is under investigation. His inauguration is under investigation. Members of administration and even the president himself, of course, continues to be under investigation for possible obstruction of justice. A lot of legal controversy surrounding one of the biggest days of the year for him.
All right, Paula Reid covering all the angles for us. Paula, thank you.